Hi everybody, welcome to my next episode of my crochet along for my Amigurumi doll. And in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make the dress. And if you're new to my crochet along, in my first video I showed you how to make the head and how to sew the anim-like eyes. And in my second video I showed you how to do the main body and the legs and the little feet. And last week I showed you how to make the arms and how to do the hair. So hopefully if you've been following along you've got something that looks a little something like this. And just to recap our materials, we're using a DK light worsted weight cotton yarn. That's the yarn weight of 3. And with that the whole pattern is made with a 3.5mm Ep4 crochet hook. And we're going to need a pair of scissors this week and a yarn tapestry needle as well. Okay, so I'm going to be using two colours for the dress. So this one I did pink and yellow, but I think I should do blue at the top and then a skirt I'll make in the purple. So let's begin with the top half. Okay, so we're going to take the colour for the top half of our dress. We're going to start off by chaining 36 to begin. We're going to chain 36. So this dress is probably made not how you think it's going to be made. So we're going to chain 36. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 36. Okay, so we've chained 36, like so. Then what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into our first chain. What we need to do is make sure that our yarn is at the top and out of the way. And then we're going to take our first chain here and we're just going to bend it round back to this end where our hook is, and making sure that yarn we're working with is at the top. We're going to find our first chain and we're going to put our hook into our first chain. Okay. Then hopefully this is at the top, the yarn you're working with, and we're going to bring that through our first chain and then straight through the loop on our hook, like so. And that creates a very large loop, and this loop needs to fit round the center of your doll. Okay, so you should still have a stitch count of 36, and what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little chain 1 just for leverage, and don't count that as a stitch. Little chain 1. We're going to do 1 half double crochet, so in UK terminology that would be a half treble, into each stitch around. We're going to start off with this first chain that we slip stitched into, so we're going to yarn over, so ignore your chain 1, it's not a stitch, go back into that first chain that you slip stitched into. But because we need to make the skirt into these chains as well, I recommend going under only one bit of yarn rather than any other way. So you see these little V's here, hopefully you've got nice neat V's, just go onto the top loop only, just under one bit of yarn, and that helps to see the chain the second time round. Okay, so bring that through and do a half double crochet. We're going to do 1 half double crochet into each chain around, again just going under that one bit of yarn at the top. So you're keeping a stitch count of 36. Okay, so that's the next one, then yarn over and go into the next chain. A bit fiddly at first. So just 1 half double crochet into each stitch around, each chain around, keeping a stitch count of 36. 35 and the last one 36. Good idea to count as you go so you don't end up doing too many. 36, because you might think you've got another stitch there but you haven't. So if you counted to 36, then find the first half double crochet that you did and put your hook into there, and then just do a slip stitch to join the round. Okay, so by the end of that round you just still have a stitch count of 36. Hopefully it looks a little something like that. And if you do work into just one stitch only on the chains, as you can see here, it's easy to see these chains still for when we need to work into them again for the skirt. Okay, so let's move on to round 3. Okay, so for round 3 we're going to do a little chain 1 again. Let's do a little chain 1, but again don't count that as a stitch. Then we're going to do 1 half double crochet in the next 4, but we need to start in the same stitch that we slip stitched into. So this one we slip stitched into, we yarn over, we go into there first and do 1 half double crochet in the first 4. So that's 1, next stitch 2, next stitch 3, next stitch 4, and then we're going to half double crochet 2 stitches together, and you can use the normal half double crochet together. I'll show you that first. You just yarn over, go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, but then stop, yarn over, go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through. You end up with 5 loops. Yarn over, pull through all 5. But the problem with the normal half double crocheting 2 together is it gets quite bulky. So I recommend doing the invisible decrease, and to do that we're going to yarn over like a normal half double crochet, but like we did on the doll, we're just going to go into the front loop only. And then we're going to go straight over to the next front loop, the next stitch, just like you did with the single crochet decrease. Bring the yarn through, and then you've got your 3 loops as if you were doing a normal half double crochet, and you just yarn over, pull through all 3. So that does a half double crochet decrease over 2 stitches, but there's a lot less bulk and it looks more like a normal stitch. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and we're just going to repeat that to the end. So we're going to do 1 half double crochet in the next 4. So let's go into the next stitch, do a half double crochet, 1, next stitch 2, next stitch 3, and next stitch 4, and then we'll do the decrease over 2 stitches, half double crochet decrease. So we'll do the invisible decrease again. So yarn over as if you're doing a normal half double crochet, go into the next front loop only of the next stitch, so not both loops, just the front loop. Then go straight over to the next stitch, don't yarn over or anything, and go under that front loop as well. So you're going onto the 2 front loops, the next 2 stitches. Bring the yarn through those front loops, and then you've got your 3 loops to do your half double crochet. Okay, like so. Then we go back to 1 half double crochet in the next 4. So 1, my yarn's caught on my doll. Next stitch 2. Next stitch 3, next stitch 4. So 1 half double crochet, the next 4 again, then the decrease over 2 stitches. So we yarn over, go into the next front loop only, then straight over to the next front loop of the next stitch, bring the yarn through, then we just do a half double crochet as normal, pull through all 3. Okay. Then 1 half double crochet in the next 4, and you should end on a decrease. Next stitch 2, next stitch 3, next stitch 4, then a half double crochet invisible decrease, yarn over into the next front loop only, straight over to the next front loop only, bring the yarn through the front loops, got 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3, then 1 half double crochet in the next 4, 1, next stitch 2, next stitch 3, next stitch 4, next stitch 5, next stitch 4, we're doing 4, getting carried away there, 1, 2, 3, 4, then our decrease, so we yarn over, go into the next front loop, straight over to the next front loop, bring the yarn through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, and to find your next stitch you just need to find this little sort of almost loop in the middle. You can see there, skip all that, and there's your next stitch. 1 half double crochet in the next 4 again, 1, 2, 3 and 4. That should leave you with 2 stitches, and we're going to decrease over these last 2 here. That's not a stitch, it's what I call a little fake stitch. So you should have 2 left. Do an invisible decrease, half double crochet, invisible decrease, yarn over into the next front loop only, straight over to the next front loop, bring the yarn through the front loops, pull through all 3, and then we'll slip stitch into our first stitch. And your stitch count should have gone down to, just do my little slip stitch, your stitch count should have gone down to 30. Okay, and now what we're going to do, we're just going to do 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. So we do our little chain 1 first, we do our first half double crochet in the same stitch you slip stitched into. Okay, and we'll do 1 half double crochet in each stitch around, keeping a stitch count of 30. Okay. Okay, so just coming up to the last 2 stitches. So last one, and then you should have a stitch count of 30, and we're just going to slip stitch in our first half double crochet to join. Okay, so hopefully it looks a little something like this. Then we're going to move on to another decrease round, and the pattern is the same as the last one. We're going to do a little chain 1 to begin. Again, don't count that as a stitch. We're going to do 1 half double crochet in the first 4, and then half double crochet 2 together. We're going to use the invisible decrease. So start off in the same stitch you just slip stitched into. That's 1, next stitch 2, next stitch 3, next stitch 4. So the pattern's 1 half double crochet in the next 4, the first 4, and a half double crochet 2 together. So I'm going to yarn over into the front loop only, move over to the next front loop, bring the yarn through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, then we go back to doing 1 half double crochet in the next 4. We're going to repeat that all the way to the end, doing 1 half double crochet in the next 4, then half double crochet 2 together. You should end on a decrease. Okay. Half double crochet 2 together. Go for that properly. Okay. And 1 half double crochet in the next 4. Okay, let's go up to the last few stitches. 4. And you should have 2 left. I'm going to half double crochet those 2 together. Front loops only. Then just slip stitch into your first stitch to join the round. Okay, so by the end of that round your stitch count should have gone down to 25. And now we're going to do 2 rounds of just 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. So we start off with a little chain 1 and do your first half double crochet in the same stitch that you slip stitched into. And we're going to do 1 half double crochet into each stitch around, keeping a stitch count of 25. And we're going to do that for 2 rounds. I don't know why I'm speaking so slow. 2 rounds. So I should do that and then I shall come back. 24 and 25. So I've just done 2 rounds of 1 half double crochet in each stitch around, then get to the end, slip stitch in that first stitch to join the round. Okay, so done that for 2 rounds. Hopefully it looks a little something like this. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the top half of the dress. We start off with a little chain 1. Again, don't count that as a stitch. We're going to slip stitch in the next 9. Starting in this first stitch we just slip stitched into, we're going to slip stitch in there, 1, and then in the next 8, next stitch 2, next stitch 3, next stitch 4, this just puts the seam at the back, next stitch 5, next stitch 6, 7, 8 and 9. So we're going to slip stitch in the first 9. Okay, that makes our seam at the back then. And then what we're going to do is we're going to skip 1 stitch. So we're going to skip the next stitch. Then in the next stitch we're going to do 3 half double crochets, 1 double crochet, another 3 half double crochets. So we're going to skip the next stitch. Then in the next stitch start off with 3 half double crochets, or half trebles in UK terminology. 3 of those, all in the same stitch. Then we're going to do a double crochet in the same stitch, or in UK terminology that's a treble. So go back into the same stitch, do a double crochet. Then we're going to do 3 more half double crochets, or half trebles. Okay, 1, all in the same stitch, 2, and 3. Okay, so got a little something like that. Then we're going to skip the next stitch, so skip that one. Then we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch. So skip 1, then in the next stitch do a slip stitch. Okay. Then we're going to skip the next stitch, and then in the next stitch do the same as we did here. So we're going to skip the next stitch, and in the next one we do 3 half double crochets, 2, 3, a double crochet in the same stitch, and then 3 half double crochets. Again, all in the same stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then we're going to skip the next stitch, so make sure you find that next stitch. We're going to skip it, and then we're going to slip stitch in the remaining stitches. So go straight into the next one and slip stitch back to the beginning. Okay. Okay, so when you've done that, we are going to just slip stitch into our first slip stitch. So find that first slip stitch. It's going to be a little bit tight to get into, and just slip stitch into there. Just join the round. Okay, so hopefully it looks like this, the top of the dress. Now we need to make some straps. So what we're going to do is we are going to chain 10 to begin. So chain 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, small yarn, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we chained 10. Then we're going to slip stitch in the V, top of the V shape over here. So pick this one on the right hand side and find the center stitch at the top, the one in the middle, and let's have a look, shall we? We'll go for this one here. So it doesn't have to be perfect which one you go into, just the one roughly in the middle. Oh, I need to make sure that my yarn is that side before I slip stitch. So put that into the top of the V. I'm going to do a little slip stitch to bring the yarn through and then straight through the loop on your hook. Then we're going to slip stitch back along our chains. Okay, so we did 10 chains. So we're just going to slip stitch back along our chains. So you should have 10. Let's find that first one. Okay. Slip stitch back to the beginning. So 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, and the last one 10. So slip stitch back along those 10 chains, then find this area here, this slip stitch that you joined the end of the last round, and go back into there and slip stitch into there again on here, so it's back on the base. So a little slip stitch in there, and we're going to repeat the process. So we're going to chain 10 again and go to the opposite side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So chain 10, then find the opposite side over here now, and again make sure your yarn is above your little V shape. Put your hook into there, and we're going to slip stitch into there, and the yarn through the center. Doesn't matter which stitch, as long as it's one in the middle. Slip stitch into there, and then we're going to slip stitch back along these chains back to the beginning. Okay, so first chain, always going to be small for some reason. 1, next chain 2. So I'm just going to slip stitch back to the beginning. 2, 3, 9, and the last one 10. And again, when you're back at the beginning, we're just going to slip stitch in that main one for a third or fourth time, however many times we've done it. Okay, and there we go. Let's bring up a loop, make sure you're happy with that, and that's the end of the top half. So what we're going to do now is cut our yarn and sew in any tail ends. That's just not working for me. Right, there we go, and we're going to sew in our tail ends, and then we shall work on the skirt. So let's hide these tail ends. Okay, so I've got my yarn needle. Just pull that loop through until it comes through, then thread it onto your yarn needle, and then I'm going to go through there onto the inside and hide it on the inside. Just sew through some stitches neatly as you can. I'm sure you can do a neater job than me. And back in the opposite direction. That should be fine. And then just trim down the excess. And do the same for the other tail end. So I should do that, and then I should come back and show you how to make the skirt part. Okay, so I've hidden the other tail end as well. What we're going to do now is we're going to get our next colour. So I'm going to put the blue to the side. Then I'm going to grab the purple, and we're going to rejoin the purple in the base. So we're going to get our tail end of our purple yarn. You can do it all in the same colour if you want to. You don't have to change colour. I thought I'd show you how to change colour though. Then we're going to rejoin our yarn in one of these chains along here. So I'm going to pick one of these chains. It's going to be that one. I'm going to rejoin. I'm going to join this card, not rejoin. I haven't used it yet. So I'm going to join this purple. My little chain. My yarn's getting really stringy today. Okay, so I'm going to rejoin it in there, and I'm going to just secure that with a little chain 1. I'm not going to count that as a stitch, so I'm just going to do a little chain 1, and that will create a little knot like so. And we're going to do 1 single crochet, so in UK terminology that's a double crochet. 1 single crochet into each stitch around. Now our stitch count from the very beginning was 36, so you need to make sure you've got 36 of these stitches. So I'm going to go back into this same chain that I rejoined the yarn and do a proper stitch, single crochet. I'm going to do 1 single crochet into each chain around until I've got 36. So 2, and I'm going to count as I go. 3, And because we only worked under one loop, hopefully they're nice and easy to see. 4, 5, 6, 33, 34, 35, and 36 is a little bit difficult to see because it's all become a bit of a mash where I've joined it, so I'm just going to put it in as neatly as I can just to make sure I've got 36 stitches. Okay, 36. Then I'm going to slip stitch, let's pull that tail end down, I'm going to slip stitch into my first single crochet to join the round. So you should have a stitch count of 36. It should look a little something like this. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 4. So chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. Chain 4, and we're going to do 1 double crochet. So in UK terminology, that's 1 treble in the same stitch. So yarn over, go back into the same stitch you just slip stitched into. Do that double crochet. Okay. Then we're going to do a pattern. We're going to skip 1 stitch. Then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Skip 1, then 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Okay. Then we're going to skip 1 and then do 2 double crochet in the next stitch. So skip 1, then 2 double crochet. So these are all trebles in UK terminology. 2 double crochet in there. And we're going to repeat that all the way to the end. So we go back to skip 1, 1 double crochet. Then skip 1, 2 double crochet. Repeat that all the way to the end. 1 and 2. So then we go back to skip 1, 1 double crochet. Oops. Skip 1, 2 double crochet. So let's repeat that all the way to the end. Then when you get towards the end, the last 3, you skip 1, then 1 double crochet. So your last one's going to be the 1 double crochet, because if you remember at the beginning we did the 1 double crochet in the same stitch as these chains, and these 3 chains are counting as a double crochet, so the pattern matches. Then we're going to slip stitch in the top of our 3 chains. So 1, 2, 3, we did 4 actually, so 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 4th chain, we're going to slip stitch into there. So used to slip stitching in top of 3, not 4. So slip stitch into that 4th chain at the top. So join the round. Okay, so hopefully it looks a little something like this. And then we're going to just slip stitch into the space in between our first little V. Okay, so in there we're going to do a little slip stitch in that gap there. Then we're going to do chain 4. We're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, chain 4, and we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next gap. So this gap here, next gap along, we're going to do 1 double crochet in there. Then we're going to chain 1. Chain 1. Then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next gap. So every gap. We're going to repeat this pattern all the way around. So we chain 1, 1 double crochet in the next gap. The next gap's going to be in between your V. Okay, so this V. Do 1 double crochet. So we're just doing 1 double crochet, or trebles in UK terminology. So we're doing 1 double crochet the next gap, then chain 1. Always remember to chain 1 in between. Then 1 double crochet in the next gap. Chain 1. 1 double crochet in the next gap. I'm going to do that all the way around. Chain 1, 1 double crochet in the next gap, which is in between your V's, so don't miss that one. Okay, chain 1, let's go up towards the end, last gap. Then you can see these 4 chains are our first double crochet, so we're just going to chain 1 and we're going to slip stitch into the top of those chains, and the 4th chain at the top. Just go into one loop, it's easier. Okay, and then we're just going to repeat that round a few more times, so it really depends on how long you want to make the skirt. But 4, 5, 6, I'm going to do it for 3 more rounds. So all we do is we just slip stitch into the next gap, which is going to be down here below our chains. Slip stitch into there, chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, chain 4, then you do 1 double crochet in the next gap, which is going to be, so we slip stitch in that one, this one here. And it's exactly the same thing, we just do chain 1 in between and 1 double crochet in the next gap. The gap's a bit easier to see now. Chain 1, 1 double crochet in the next gap. So just repeat this all the way around and do it for a few more rounds. I'm going to do it for 3 more rounds, just making sure at the beginning when you slip stitch in the 4th chain, you then slip stitch in your first gap before your next double crochet. And remember to chain 1 in between. You can do that for 3 more rounds, but you can do it longer or shorter depending on how long you want the skirt. So I should do that and then I shall come back. Chain 1, 1 double crochet. So when you get to the end of the round, just make sure you find where your chains are coming from, and then the gap before it is your last gap. Do your double crochet in there, chain 1, don't forget to chain 1, slip stitch in that 4th chain up, or the 3rd one, really doesn't matter. Slip stitch in there to join the round, then you slip stitch in the first gap, which is just next to that chain you slip stitched into. So slip stitch in the gap, chain 4 and begin the whole process again. 1, 2, 3, 4, double crochet in the next gap, chain 1. Okay, and then just a little chain 1 at the end before we slip stitch into our 4th chain at the top. You can see what I'm doing. Oh, because I'm at the end, I'm just going to slip stitch into that first double crochet because it's just easier. There we go, that's the end of the rounds. I've done 3 rounds in total from the beginning, got the single crochet round, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 rounds in total, and then I'm just going to cut my yarn. And then we just pull that loop through, and then we're just going to hide our loop. We're going to hide our tail end. Sew to the inside, and I'm just going to sew up through here as neatly as I can. Back in the opposite direction, that should do it. That didn't go through, I'm just going to trim there, that'll be okay. Trim down the last bit. And there we go, there is our finished dress. That's all that's left to do now is to put it onto our doll, and unfortunately it won't go over her head, so because her head's quite big, so we just feed our legs through the centre this way. Just got to put the dress on this way. Just bring that up. Then line it up for her, and then we just feed her arms through the straps. there she is. She's got her little dress. Ta-da! Yay! So if I zoom out a little bit, there we go, you can see a bit better. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope now you've dressed your doll in a little dress. So it's just like this one. Got the little straps at the back. Turn this one over as well. Get her hair out the way. Got straps. So there we go. So that's the run out of time for this week. But next week will be the last tutorial for the crochet along. And so we're going to be showing you how to make the shoes and a little handbag, and if I've got time I'll show you how to make some little booties as well. But I'm going to be doing some extra clothes tutorials at some point. Someone's requested some boys' clothes, which is a really good idea. You can make little boys as well, you can just adjust the hair. I'm thinking of coming up with some little dungarees for that one as well. But all these patterns are available in written format on my blog at the moment, and then when it's finished, the cow's finished, I will consolidate that into one PDF which you can download from my website. But until then, I will see you soon for some more crochet fun. Do follow me on Instagram if you don't already to find out what I get up to and all my design processes and things I'm working on. It's just Happy Berry Crochet. Check me out on Instagram, and I'm pretty much always on there, so you can have little chats with me as well. I'll see you soon for some more crochet fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.